Hey guys, welcome back to the Scaley Scoop here on Tipping Scales. I'm John, this is Butts, and I'm sick. So let's just get that out of the way, the obvious. I do not feel well. I have not felt well for a while. That's why my voice sounds like Stephen Hawking trying to seduce somebody. And I've also been coming home from work and falling asleep as soon as I come home, so I don't know where I put my glasses. I'm all around a mess right now. Usually I have like 10 pages of notes for these. Today I have like 2. So a lot of this is going to be off the cuff, which might be better, might be worse. I don't know. We'll see. Look at how beautiful Butts is though. My gosh. Man, it's been a hot second since I've had her out for a video. You're a gorgeous girl. So there will be a bunch of cuts in this video because I will cut out all of my coughing and sneezing and burping and farting as always.
You will not sneeze or burp or fart.
And I hope you enjoy this episode. Hopefully I can remember all the things I want to talk about. Let's roll the intro and get into our first story.
Okay, it's an isolated incident.
You get to determine what is our pet.
Snakes, a lizard, and a crocodile were removed from a home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
My Lord, a snapping turtle. Wow.
All right, so our first story is about the shenanigans of Joe Exotic, also known as the Tiger King. If you guys don't know who Joe Exotic is, somehow, you could still go watch that documentary. That is such a train wreck. It is so crazy. It's the Tiger King, murder, mayhem, and Mucinex. I could use some of that. Murder, mayhem, and moxie.
You got moxie, kid. You got moxie, you got no knees. And you can't be a nightclub dancer if you ain't got knees.
Nope. I gotta look it up. The Tiger King, murder, mayhem, and madness. So anyway, he's in jail right now for like 21 years, serving a 21-year sentence for conspiracy to murder, or it was actually, see, this is why I take so many notes. It's basically he's in jail partially for hiring somebody to kill Carol Baskins, right? And that on top of the animal charges. So anyway, while he's in jail, somehow he's on social media, and he wrote to Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals, the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, who's also being called the Tiger King by people, not by Joe himself, because he doesn't like that, he doesn't like the show, he doesn't like Joe Exotic. But because people are calling him the Tiger King, this got under Joe Exotic's skin, and he decided to write to Joe Burrow, who he's calling Joe Burrows, saying this. I see the news, magazines, as well as yourself calling you the Tiger King. Everyone in the world is exploiting me and my trademarks while I sit innocent in an American federal prison. I have been the Tiger King before you got out of high school. Tiger King is my trademark, intellectual property. My life has been destroyed, my parents have died, and I continue to fight cancer and 2 incurable diseases while you ride fame and attention off my life's hard work. Blah, 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 wrongfully incarcerated. Since everyone is enjoying the fame of the Tiger King, I am suffering wrongly in prison in a cage. How about doing a good deed and helping me raise $20,000 for a down payment to hire attorneys? Maybe paying it forward, God might help you get to the Super Bowl this year, and I could go home for Christmas. Then we can work together to stop animals from being in a cage. What the actual crap? So it seems like Joe Exotic is even further off his rocker since his time in prison, and I thought that was kind of funny. I also thought it was funny that he called Joe Burrow Joe Burrows. I'm not a football guy. I haven't followed football in almost 10 years, but it reminded me of the Bill McAdams thing, the whole Holy Thursday massacre, where everybody was talking about Chris Coffey and Bill McAdams because his name is not Bill McAdams, it's Bill McAdam. There's no S at the end of that. And that all started, you can see in the body cam footage when they're talking to him for the first time that he says his name is Bill McAdam, and the FWC officer repeats it as McAdams, and then Donnie repeats it as McAdams, and then every video that comes out after that says McAdams, but it's Bill McAdam. And since we're on the topic of Bill McAdam, and I'm all over the place because I don't have good notes this time, as far as I know, the last time I talked to Bill, the lawsuit was still on, between him and the FWC. If you want to support that, his GoFundMe is in my description. It's in the description of every video. Ever since that April, it's always been there. So anytime you feel like you got a little extra to throw his way, you can hit any of my videos, and it's in the description there. And Bill is a really awesome dude. All right, our next story is about a bloke in Australia who was caught surfing with his pet carpet python. It's a 3-year-old carpet python. The man's name is, I did write this down, Igor Fuza. It's an interesting name. So anyway, he got caught because there's this whole trend going around with surfing with animals. There was one with a dog, there's one with a duck, and he decided to take his carpet python out, which he has done 10 other times, according to him, surfing off the Gold Coast of Australia. He made a video about it. It was as successful as the other ones. It went viral, and the Queensland Ecological and Science Department caught wind of it and fined him over 2,000 Australian dollars. If anybody from Australia is watching, maybe you can explain some of this a little bit better to me. So in Australia, my understanding is that you can't own anything that's not native when it comes to reptiles. But to own one of those native reptiles, you need a permit. And in that permit, it says you can't bring that animal outside of your home without a separate permit, unless it's going to the vet or it's an exchange of goods kind of thing. I don't understand the logic behind that, honestly, because it's not like they're concerned it's going to be an invasive species, because it's a native snake. So if it did escape, it would just be another native snake in the wild. So I don't really understand the logic behind that law. Maybe somebody in Australia can fill me in a little bit better on that. I did think, as did the Queensland Ecological and Science Department, also think that having a carpet python in the surf is probably not the best thing for the snake. You know, the water was cold apparently, and then also salt water in their heat pits. I don't know how that affects things. I can't imagine it's pleasant though. Our next story is interesting, but the meaning behind it is kind of up in the air. So earlier this week, a report came out on mugger crocodiles and some of the strange behaviors they've been exhibiting. These are behaviors that have been documented back to 2013. But the story that's highlighted here is the story of a lone dog being chased into the river by a pack of feral dogs, and having 3 mugger crocodiles come up to this dog and not attack it, but rather push it to a safer location on the bank away from the pack of feral dogs, and then that dog just ran off without any harm. So what people are saying is that this is showing that crocodiles are intelligent enough to show empathy. There are also other interesting things about these specific crocodiles, other interesting behaviors from these specific crocodiles, including balancing sticks on their noses to try to get birds to come down and take those sticks for their nests, and using that as a trap to catch birds, as well as circling around schools of fish to intentionally corral them, kind of like you would see a pod of orcas do or something like that. Now, there is one biologist who's been commenting on this, a man that goes by the name of Duncan Leach. He is a biologist who specializes in neurophysiology of reptiles. And he says all of these things are simply anecdotal. You can't really determine anything from these behaviors. More studies need to be done. And any of the conclusions that people are coming to about these behaviors, about it being empathy or some other higher thought, at this point is all simply anthropomorphizing these crocodiles. But I don't know. I don't know. I would really like to see more studies done, and that seems to be something that is being pursued, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of those. All right, the final story we're going to touch on today is the Chandler getting bit story, which is probably why you're all here anyway. And it's interesting. Most of us have seen the video of him getting bit. I alluded to it in a previous video and made a little joke about it, but I didn't have any ill intent behind that. I'm really glad to see he is doing well. He did recently put out a video showing the aftermath of the bite from the Cobra in India, and that he lost the tip of his finger. It sounds like an incredible journey that he had to go through with all of that. I would not want to be in that position, receiving anti-venom in a foreign country, having to fly back to the US and explain to doctors who aren't well versed in exotic species bites, what needed to be done, and all of that stuff. It just sounded like such a headache, such kind of a sketchy situation to be in for a good amount of time. But he came out of it with just losing half of his ring finger, and this is the important part. This is the reason I wanted to put this in this video. The video he just put out talking about all of this, I highly encourage you to go watch it. Even if you are not a Chandler fan, go watch it. I'm going to leave the link in the description, of course. But in it, he talks about how, well, he doesn't even talk about it. He promises that he will not be free handling anymore. Not in front of the camera, not in the privacy of his own home, out of respect for his loved ones, his family, and his friends. And I think that's incredible.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I promise to my viewers, and I've already promised to my friends and my family, I've already promised to my girlfriend, I've already promised to everyone, I am never free handling on or off camera again out of respect for everyone that loves me and everyone that looks up to me and wants to get into this kind of stuff.
And obviously he has some PTSD from that bite and all that entailed, but seeing somebody learn from their mistakes in such a way, like free handling venomous is such a big part of his channel and has been for so long, and it's one of the reasons some people don't like him. But to see him do a complete 180 and just swear he's never going to do it again, that's incredible. We talk about self-policing a lot on this channel, and I think the most important part of self-policing is that when somebody changes a behavior that might not be good for the hobby, we accept it. Instead of just condemning that person forever because they messed up or did something that we didn't like, or that wasn't great for an animal, or that wasn't great for the hobby. If they're willing to change that behavior, we can't gatekeep that growth. It doesn't mean you have to suddenly like that person, obviously. You are absolutely entitled to like or dislike whoever you like or dislike. But if we don't allow redemption arcs, it's not going to get better. Derek's Reptiles, for example. I watched that video that Donnie made a year or more ago, and I was like, wow, gross. This guy's gross. I can't stand Derek's Reptiles. Since then, Derek's done a 180. He's gotten rid of all his live feeding videos. He's talked openly about it. And I respect how open and honest he's been and how willing to change he's been. I think that's beautiful. I think that's even more beautiful than somebody just always doing the right thing all the time. Seeing somebody change, make a positive change in their life for the sake of themselves, for the sake of the hobby, for the sake of their animals. That's what we're trying to encourage. That's what I think is the most important part of self-policing, is allowing change and embracing it. So again, you might still be annoyed by Chandler, with all of his antics and stuff, and everybody gets annoyed because he tries to be the crocodile hunter, but gosh, we all love the crocodile hunter, right? I get it. Don't come in the comments being like, oh, but I hate him. I understand why he rubs people the wrong way. I am super glad that he's okay. And I am even more glad, no, I can't say that. I'm more glad that he's okay than anything else, because that would just be tragic, obviously. But I am also super glad to see that growth. That's growth, man. That's what life is all about. It's all about learning from your mistakes and doing better. Somebody told me, and I only heard this secondhand, that Tyler Nolan also said he was going to be backing away from free handling. I couldn't find the actual source on that, but maybe Chandler is now leading by example. So ending it with, taking some good out of something tragic happening. I also want to shout out a couple of people here. Now, there are so many of you who are here for every video and comment on every video, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys ever want to reach out with anything, you can message me on Instagram or in the Scaley Scoop Facebook group. I want to shout out Gabby for giving me that story about the surfing snake. And I also want to shout out people like Jack and Chris, who have sent me stories in the past that I haven't used just because I haven't been doing a Scaley Scoop that week. But anytime you guys want to send me a story that you want me to look into or that you want to get my thoughts on, my door is open. My internet door is open. Don't just come show up at my house. That'd be weird. All right, I think that should do it. I'm sorry this feels so half-butted. I'm, again, I am not 100%. I'm gonna go lay down and try to edit this and get it up. I'm probably gonna be late again. I'm so sorry. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Remember to be kind to yourselves and each other. I said that all out of order. I love you. Bye.